Good evening, everyone. We are going to start now. Shreesh here is the presenter today. So, Shreesh, you may take the lead.
Hello everyone, welcome to Convoke. So today's our topic is getting started with Node.js. Before actually getting started, I want you all to download the latest version of the Node.js from this link. The link will be shared with you, and we will also share this link. Actually, this is a AutoJS formatter. This is totally optional, but it will be good if you install it because it's going to make your code look much more cleaner and it will help you to understand it better. So now we will take 3 or 4 minutes for you to go and install it. And yeah, once you have installed it, go to terminal and type node dash v. And if it shows you the current version of your Node.js, then it means that you have correctly installed it. Otherwise, try installing it once again. So we will continue after 3 or 4 minutes. Uh, Everyone, in the meantime, let me tell you about Koders. Koders is a software company that provides a real world solution to your ideas. Actually, this is a service based company, and we provide various types of services for all your means projects and stuffs. We provide skills like Node.js, Django, Python, and many more stuff which are means very much required in today's life. Uh, we have worked on many good products like Gmail Activity Manager and many more on front end and back end development. And right now I am an intern in this. And to be honest, I never thought that I will get such exposure in such a starting career stage of mine. Um, uh, it's been only 2 months and I have already worked on a live project, and the mentors are here really good, and the environment is very friendly. It's one of the best company in according to me. And for till now I think that you all have completed your Node.js installation. So let's get started. First of all, let me tell you the tech stack we are going to use in this uh, session. First, Node.js, second, Express, third, MongoDB, and fourth, MongoJS. Node.js, Express.js, and Mongoose.js. These all are basically libraries of JavaScript. And what we are going to learn in this session is first, setting up Node.js, second, Nodemon, third, generating Express app, and fourth, Express route handlers, fifth, adding MongoDB, and sixth, Mongoose model classes. So let us understand why we need Node.js. Node.js is a server-based technology which is used to create and run a huge number of web applications. One of the main reasons why Node.js is so popular because it runs on JavaScript. And nowadays, JavaScript is the only choice to develop new web application in the web browser. But let me be honest with you, working in with Node.js is not easy. It's quite complex. Even the little stuffs which we can implement easily in other things are quite complex if we go with Node.js. Then you might ask, why should we use Node.js? Actually, if Node.js uses alone, then it's quite complex. But with it, we are going to use some other JavaScript libraries, which is going to make our life so much easy. So first of all, let me tell you the architecture of any web app. So here's the image of our any application architecture. Uh, in here, uh, I'm going to tell you how different technologies interact with each other to form a complete project. So whenever a user navigate to a domain, we actually send him him a HTML document and JavaScript file that contains this React app, and this will take the content appear on the screen. Like whenever we visit like facebook.com, and the first page that appears like login page is displayed by this part of the app, that React part. Now the React side, this side, doesn't actually know what it has to show, and it needs some data for user uh, so that it can interact with it. Well, this information or this data that React is going to show is actually supplied through the backend part of it. So the thing is, uh, Hmm. Yeah, and for actually this React app takes all the data from this MongoDB. Now, as the main thing is that this React part cannot directly communicate with this MongoDB to show its data. So that's why we need some middlewares, which is that's in which we use Express or Node.js. Uh, So and the thing that happens is this React app. Whenever a user requests something, this app sends a HTTP request to Node API or Express server, which contains some amount of JSON files, which is actually the request it's been means the request it sends. Then this Express API takes all the uh, request and then uh, takes it to the MongoDB and takes the response, and that sends it to the React app. Now, we will understand the relation between Node and Express.js. Uh, Node. Node is a JavaScript runtime used to execute code outside of a browser. So, um, like whenever basically when JavaScript was developed, it was developed only to run inside the browser. But at some point of time, people thought that uh, we want it to run outside of the browser. That's when this Node came. And this basic idea of development of Node is to run JavaScript outside of the code. And Express is that takes Node runtime and help to take decision with the HTTP request we get. So this this HTTP request that we get are uh, taken by Express.js, and then it takes all those requests and then makes a decision. So for decision, let's look in this here. Uh, Here there's a HTTP request incoming on our port number 5000, which goes through Node.js. Then that request nodes transferred to Express.js. Now, on the basis of this request that Node.js receives, Express looks at the request and decide what chunk of code will handle or respond to the request. So this express will then choose the best route handlers according to the request, and then these route handlers will generate some response, which will again be transferred to Node.js, and then Node.js will transfer it to the user who means who said it or who asks for it. So now let's set up our Node.js. First of all, let's make a new directory and then type npm init. This will show you some this kinds of image. Actually, we are not means we don't want to think more about these responses. So just go on clicking enter and enter. Yeah. So after this, you will see data package.json file has been developed. Now we have to install our Express app so that we can create a server. To install Express, type npm install dash dash save Express. It will take some time. Yeah. After we have installed it successfully, now let's head back to your package.json file, and now you can see on its dependencies like here. And now you can see the
Shirish,
Express.
we are only able to see the Google slides, not the CMD.
One second. Now,
Yes, perfect. It's visible.
so let's go once again. Uh, to set up our first Node app, type npm init and hit enter. It will take some time, and then it will create a package.json file for you. Then for starting our server, we have to install Express app. For that, type npm install dash dash save express and hit enter. Then it's going to install express.js for us. And after installation is complete, head back to your package.json file, and then you can see the dependencies. Here you can see that express has been correctly installed. uh, the thing in Node.js is that it does not come pre-installed with all its dependencies. At some point of time, we have to install dependencies uh, by ourselves, and this we have to do in every project we make in Node.js. Now, now make a new file, name as new file, and name as index.js. Index.js. uh, this is going to be our root directory for our Node.js. Yeah. Now, first of all, we have now let's first of all, for starting our server, we first have to import that express.js file in our project. For that, we have to write const express is equal to require express. Uh, Actually, this is not the traditional way of importing. Like in many other languages, you have seen that we write something like this: import import that whatever from like this kind of syntax, but actually this is not possible in Node.js. That's because the Node.js does not support any ES 2015 modules. It only supports Common JS module. Common JS module is basically a system designed JS which is used to share our files or code. So here, now let's create an express app. For that, we have to type const app is equal to express. This will create a running server which we will denote with app. Now let's make a route handler which uh, which will determine what the response we have to send to the user. For that, type app dot get uh, slash uh, req comma res, then equal to, then this arrow sign, then curly braces, and then hit enter, and then type res dot send and some JSON file, which will be, for example, like hi there. Before actually telling you that what this chunk of code is doing, let's write one more line. That will be app dot listen, and this we will type the port number, like whatever it may be. Like for example, right now let's type 3000 and save. One second. Yeah. Uh, so uh, actually this piece of code is doing a lot of things. So let's go and understand what this piece of code is doing. So here, that app, it's actually represent the express app or the running server, and that dot get thing, it watch for incoming request with its method. Actually, in Node.js provides a lot of other modules like this app. We can type app dot get, app dot post, app dot put, app dot delete, or app dot patch. App dot get is used usually when this server is expecting some info, like in this example, app dot get, and app dot post is usually used when server is when we send something to the server, like informs. We will use app.post informs so that when we hit submit button informs, all the data of that form is redirected to our server and we can save in that our MongoDB. For that we use app.post, and then app.put, it is used for to update the properties of something. Then app.delete to delete something, and app.patch, well, usually for updating one or two properties of something. uh, Now let's run our app and see if it's actually work or not. So for that, type node and then index.js. Index.js. Well, here as you can see that you might think that it got stuck, but no, it's just the way it works. Now let's go to our browser and type localhost 3000. So as you can see, it printed correctly hi there. This means that our server is running correctly. And now this app, now let's create another route. Actually this is a route handler. So now let's make another route handler. For that, let's copy just this and paste it down here. Now for example, let's make another route, for example new, and here let's change the message, hi, hello, and save it. Now, if you see, when I head back to new, new, see, it says cannot get slash new. Actually, whenever we make any changes in our Node.js app, we have to we have to stop our running server and then have to restart it again. Now let's head back and then see. Yeah, see, like but I know this is quite irritating. That's why we are going to install another module, and it's called Nodemon. Nodemon, let's first install it. For that, type npm install dash dash save Nodemon. It will take a minute or two. Yeah. Now, once we have installed Nodemon successfully, we have to configure our package.json file with it. So let's go here, and now you can see that Nodemon has also been added to our dependencies. Now, for this Nodemon to work correctly, we have to uh, write a script which is going to be here. So put a comma here and hit enter, and then type dev, then colon, then Nodemon index.js, and then save it. Actually, the thing which is happening here is that this dev is going to take place of this nodemon index.js. So we don't have to type this much of code. We can just write this dev, which is going to be just equal to this. And you don't have to write dev. You can write anything like this or something, whatever you want, but make sure you remember that. So for now, let's just write dev. Now again, go to your terminal and type npm run dev. It will start our nodemon, and yeah, this server is running. So let's close this, and let's again go to localhost 3000. Yeah, and now if I make any change, like here, I let me type hello, and then when I save it, it's going to restart again, and the changes are going to be made here like this, hello there, and we don't have to restart it again and again. Now here, right now I'm basically just sending some JSON file, but to be honest, we are not going to send JSON file anytime. So let's try sending a HTML file. So first of all, create a new file in the same directory, and for example, right now let's name it as index.js. Index or HTML, sorry, HTML. And let's make a basic HTML code. Here type something, for example, like h1, and then save it, and then return to your index.js file. Now choose any one of this route. Right now I'm choosing this second one. Now let me comment this, and then type res dot send file, f is capital, then double underscore dirname for directory name, then plus, then the name of our HTML page with a slash, index dot html, and then save it. The server restarted again. Let's refresh it. Yeah, and then type slash new here. So our HTML page has been sent successfully. Now we can do one more thing, like here it's actually kind of irritating that it does not show when server is started or not. So for that we can type something which will tell you that the server has been started. For that, uh, give a comma, put curly bracket, and then a arrow function. Actually, the arrow function is something that will get executed automatically whenever you visit this. Like for example, whenever you visit /new, this arrow function, which contains this rest.sample, will be executed automatically. You don't have to call it. So this is a advantage of arrow function. So for here, arrow function, then type console.log, and then the message like server started, and then save it. So like here it printed server started, means server has been running successfully. Now let's head back to our slide, and now when you see, uh, we actually right now I gave you a basic idea of this amount of diagram, but when we have, now we have to understand this amount of diagram. Actually now we have uh, like other libraries or like Django or something, Node.js does not come with a pre-installed database, so we have to install a database, and here we are going to use MongoDB. Well, for our Node.js or Express server cannot directly contact or interact with MongoDB. It needs a middleware that's called Mongoose. And why so? Because this part of code, it's running on our local computer on or on our local server, but this is hosted remotely or somewhere else. That's why to communicate between these two, we have to use mongoose.js. So uh, that so here's the link uh, for the Mongoose DB. But the thing is, the installation or the integration part of MongoDB is not that straightforward. It's very confusing. That's why I have included everything in this slide. And so let's go step by step. First, let's go to this link. Yeah. We are going to use MongoDB Atlas. Actually, last year, uh, uh, this MongoDB Atlas was not used that much. Instead of MongoDB Atlas, MLabs was used, but for some reason they have closed their service, and now they are not accepting any new user. So that's why we are going to use this MongoDB Atlas. So go on and make your account in it. Yeah. Before making our MongoDB, let's do one thing. Let's head back to our editor, close this running server, and install that Mongoose.js file. For that, type npm install dash dash save mongoose. It will take some time, so let's head back to our MongoDB. So here, let's create a new cluster first of all. So click on create a new cluster, and then don't chase any of these default options, keep them as it is, and then click on this create cluster. Well, you can change the name if you want, like here it's cluster 1, you can change it to anything you want, and then click on create cluster. uh, oh, actually I have made all my free once, so I cannot make anymore, but let me show you from here. Now this, and then click on this create cluster. After that, uh, it will say take some time to create, like 1 or 3 minutes, and once it has been created, then click on this connect button. Actually, let wait for some time because it's going to take a bit time, so let's wait 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, hold on. Cluster, cluster 0, create cluster. Yeah, this will take a bit time, so wait, let's wait till then. Sorry, but it's taking too much time for me. But if your cluster has been created, click on this connect button right over here, and then click on this add your current IP. Uh, don't change anything, just add your current IP, and then add a username for your database, and then create a password. For creation of password, do not type password according to you. Uh, Click on this auto generate secure option, and then save this username, and then and this password in a separate txt file, because we are going to use this later on. It's still creating. And once you have done this, click on create database user, and then here create database user, and then click on a choose a connection method. After that, something like this will pop up, and then choose connect your application. When you choose that, something like this will appear, and do one thing, uh, copy this part of string and whatever it is, copy it here, and paste it to the same txt file in which you save the password and the db name. Yeah, like here my cluster has been created now. So now connect, add your current ip, add current ip, and database, type anything like new, and then auto generate secure password. Click on show, and then copy it. copy and save it to some txt. Now create database user. Choose a connection method. Then connect your application and then copy this and then paste it here and then close it. Now head back to your notepad or whatever, and then here this password field, clear it and then paste your password in that part here. Now we are ready to go. Now the thing we need to do is we have to link our Mongoose to our Node.js. So for that, let's head to our editor and require it here. So type const mongoose equal require mongoose. Now we have to connect our database to our this mongoose js. For that, type mongoose dot connect, then quotes, and then paste this the string that you copied from mongodb and paste it here. And then save it. So we have connected our MongoDB to our Mongoose JS. Uh, now for a minute, let's save it and run it once again. Yeah, the one thing in this that if you have successfully linked your MongoDB with your Node.js application, you will get this two types of warnings or error, whatever it is. This is happening because the MongoDB, uh, where it is? Yeah, the MongoDB has its own driver layer, which it uses to interact with the outside world. And these warnings that we are getting, it's due to the way the Mongo interact with Mongoose.js. So until Mongoose.js fixes their stuff, there nothing we can do with these warnings or error. But you can take it as a sign that you have successfully connected your MongoDB with your Node.js. So now let's understand how MongoDB or and Mongoose work here. MongoDB uh, usually stores records in different collection. Like here, this user is a collection of many records. This post is also a collection of many records, and this payment is also a collection of very record. So this user can now have different types of records like this, and this. Uh, in single collection, we can have as much of uh, records we want. And the MongoDB, the main advantage of MongoDB is that it's schemaless. Like the other records does not need to have same kind of property. Like for example, in the first one, it has a height property or a height record, but in second there's no height property. Other it has age, and the third one doesn't have either height or age. So MongoDB still works with this kind of thing. Uh, and now understand what Mongoose help us and how it works with MongoDB. So in this, as you can see, it's divided in two parts. So let's just take the bottom half of it. Here you can see it's the MongoDB part. Like this collection contains of different types of record. So what Mongoose does is that uh, Mongoose help us to represent this MongoDB collection or records in the JS world, means in the form of JavaScript code or whatever we are going to write. So like we can represent, so Mongoose represent this collection in JavaScript well, and we call it as model classes, and this record as it model instances. And so these are going to interact with the MongoDB and going to save our data in this kind of things. But one thing with Mongoose is that it's not schema less like MongoDB. Like here, uh, it's a MongoDB collection. As you can see, it's have different schema like height, age, but Mongoose need to note that we are going to use a same kind of schema in all our Node.js. So, uh, so let's understand what a schema type. Schema you can think of Mongoose schema as the configuration object for a Mongoose model. A schema type is actually a configuration or a property of a single record. Like for here, this id part, this id is of number, so this number will is its schema type, and here its name is a string, so this string is a schema type. So here are the different types of Mongoose schema: string, number, date, buffer, boolean, mixed, object id, array, decimal, map, and schema. We are not going to cover everything in it. I am just going to show you some basic like string and number, and if you want to learn about other things, here's the documentation link. You can go and learn about them. So let's head our code editor and let's make a model. So for that, create a new folder, name as models. Now create a new file, and whatever name you want to give it. For example, I'm going to give it a user, use user.js. So now we are inside our user.js. So now let's uh, make our model class. For that, first we have to require our Mongoose in this also. So let's just copy and paste, and then I have to include the Mongoose schema. So for that, type font schema equal to mongoose dot schema. Actually this line is okay, but with the ES 216 module we can refactor it in base simpler form. So for that, type const schema is equal to mongoose. Hold on. Yeah, so basically this line and this line are both same. You can use any one of this, it doesn't create a problem. So for now, let's just comment this and then save it. Mm. Now let's create now let's create the model instances. For this we are going to use the Mongoose schema init. So for that, type const any name you want to give. For right now, let's take user schema equals new schema, then curly brace, then this, and then hit enter. Now here we are going to define the different types of records we want to enter in this schema. For like example, for user we want to know his name, and it's going to be a string. Then comma, and then let's take email. It's also going to be a string. In this schema, the rows and the schema types always are always in the key value pairs or in the form of a JavaScript object. Now this is our Mongo schema. Now let's create a model schema. Now let's create a model class of it. So for creating model class, type mongoose dot model, and then whatever the name of model you want to enter. For example, like users, and then comma, and then the second type this schema. So user schema, and then save. So this actually creates a collection of records, and we'll save it over to MongoDB. But actually, just typing this code will not make it run. So we have to import this at least once in anywhere in our project. So let's head to our index.js and let's include that Mongo here. So for that, type require the location of this user.js file, that is dot slash models slash user, and then yeah, that's all, and then save it. Now here, the let's do one more thing. Let's make one more model, and we will call it detail.js. Let me just copy all these things and paste it here. So let's do one thing now. Let's create a detail schema which will contain the details of the user, like his name, gender, and stuff. So for that, make it a detail schema name, and then type it age, and here number, and here gender, and it's going to be a string. So now we have to do one thing, that we have to associate this model class with the user model class we created earlier, as this detail is going to store the details of this user. So how it's going to know that this detail is of this user? So for that, type underscore user. Well, to be honest, you can type anything here, but it's a writing convention in JavaScript world, so that's why we are using underscore user, then curly braces, then type, and it's going to be schema dot types dot object, o capital object, and then id, I capital D, and then comma, and then type ref and stand for reference, and then colon, and then type of this file, that is user. So user, and then save. Actually, this object id, it's like a primary key for our model class, and this is created automatically by the MongoDB. So we don't have to take care of it, just we have to call it, and this user will help MongoDB to understand that this detail is associated with this user. Now let's make it as detail, ILS, and here detail schema. Now let's head to index.js and again uh, call it like we did with the user class. So just copy and paste, and then remove it and type detail and save. So we have done most of the part, but one thing which I can't show you that whenever we want to save or at whenever point we want to save data to our MongoDB, we have to use a function that is called dot save function. Uh, to discuss this, I have a snippet of code here. Like I'm using dot save. Actually, it is the code of a Google Auth. Actually, I can't show you because it's quite complex to implement. But let me give you a basic idea of how what a Google Auth or what a OAuth does. So whenever you visit any site or something, you might see the options like this. Well, this is OAuth. What happens is, like in basic uh, email, like in basic authentication where we provide our email and password, it takes the email and password when we click on sign up or sign out, and then for example it took the email and password and checks if both the combination are same or not, and if same then it guesses, oh yeah, it's right, and then it allows authentication. But in Google Auth, uh, for sign up, sign out, and login process, we actually uh, borrow the data from the Google server or the Google database. So we for that we need some for that we need some unique identifying token, and for that we have Google dot id. Uh, So now let's get to this code. Actually, whenever we want to implement any authentication process in Node.js, we always use Passport. It's another JavaScript library only used for authentication process. And for implementing that this kind of auth system, it provides different types of strategies. So right now here I'm using a Google strategy, but when you go and see like passport JS site, yeah, uh, so for view all strategies here, you can see that it contains a strategy for Facebook. So when you use that, you will get a sign in with Facebook option, and the Google, and when you use Google Auth, you will get sign in with Google option, and similarly it contains a ton of strategies. So you, if you want to use or learn, you can visit this site passport passportjs.org and can look for it. So right now let's head back. So here what it's doing, like uh, it's here user is actually a database which is going to find a Google ID if it has something. uh, so right now when we go for Google Auth and click on sign it with Google, it takes you to it takes you to another page and asks you to choose from which Gmail account you want to log in. And after you choose one, you will it will ask for your profile ID, and if you allow permission, then it will take the profile ID and will search for in the user database which is in MongoDB. And if this user and if this profile ID is already saved in that MongoDB, then it does nothing and means passes the flow to the next step. But if it doesn't have this that profile ID, that means it's a new user, and so it created a new record in user database, like in this manner, new user, this Google ID is its record, and it the profile ID, it will update the data in that Google ID record, and then it will then we have to type dot save, so to save that in our MongoDB. So in this way, whenever we want to save any data or anything in our MongoDB, we have to use dot save function whenever at the moment of time when we want to save it. So thank you. That's all for today. Actually, it's very basic, but it's a good head start for you people if you want to learn Node.js and want to work on it. So that's all. Thank you and happy coding.
Shirish, can you check the questions on the chat box if any?
Yeah.
Guys, there is an open window of 5 minutes where you can ask the questions if you guys have anything. Okay, all right. I guess that was it. There are no further questions. The
Okay.
PPT will be shared on the Discord community in the Convoke channel. You guys can have a look there and stay around, stick to the community, Koders community on Discord. If you want, we can share the invite link through the Discord channel. We conduct sessions every Saturday. So if you guys are interested, let me know. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.